Obviously, excited about the victory. Excited about how it came about. Really, really good team victory. First half obviously doesn't start good. You're on the road, long road trip, cold, miserable, snowing, coming off a really tough loss. And they drive down, get first play of the game. They go 60 yards. First play, run the ball for 60. Not a great start. But we do a good job holding the field goal. But then we go 3 and out, and then they get the ball again, and they drive down. Actually, it was their nicest drive of the game was their second drive. They drove it all the way down. It was more them outplaying us and a little bit out. Actually, it was 10-0, and then one of the biggest plays, really, we're down 10-0, and we got nothing going. A couple 3 and outs on offense and 2 bad drives on defense, and no one really goes back to back on our defense like they did. And then Dom punts it down inside their 5. And that was kind of like the key play to me in the whole game. Because then the defense responds. We pour through there, thought we were going to get a touchdown, kind of a bad break. It gets kicked. We had like 5 guys back there. I thought for sure we were getting a touchdown. And but we got the safety, and that kind of, from the 10-0, we outscored them 29-13 the rest of the way. First half, then it's just pretty much special teams and defense. We can, we don't do a lot on offense, a lot of punting in the first quarter, early second quarter, but we had flipped the field, and we kept getting quick stops on defense. We kept getting the ball around midfield, and then, with about halfway through the second quarter, we got the ball on the 49, and we drive down and score. A lot of run. I think we hit a pass. We had a couple key third downs, 1 run, 1 pass, and then we get another quick stop. We get another short field, and we drive right back. So we had like a 49 and a 36-yard drive back to back, and all of a sudden you're up at half. And what started off obviously disastrous and not looking very good, you're up at half, and your defense is playing good, your ST is playing good, and now your last 2 drives, the offense has moved in. Third quarter, again, we give up a big play. We cut a guy loose in man coverage, and when man coverage, we don't cover our guy. It's inexcusable. And we just give him a cheap touchdown for no reason and give up the lead. Offense responds nicely and gets a drive and gets a field goal, and we go right back on top. And it's like, okay, great response by the offense because we give up a cheap one on a 1-play drive. Then we get another good stop, and then the offense puts together a nice drive. And now all of a sudden you're up 9 from down 10-0. You're up 9 and feeling really good. And defense, offense, everybody's playing good. Then we give up another long run for 90 or 87, and it's right back to a tight game. And then from there on out, after they got it to the 1 score, obviously defense held and forced punts, and John gets a big interception. Offense has a fumble when we're down. They're down 1 score, 2 points. I think they're down 1 point at the time, or 2 points at the time. We fumble. They get the ball at our 31. We push them back and force them to punt it, and then they kind of shank the punt with one of their quarterbacks, and all of a sudden, offense takes over at our 21. So John makes a huge pick, and then offense puts together a great drive, and you get out of there with a really nice victory. So everybody contributed. Offense started a little slow, but once we got going, obviously AV played really good. We were flipped third down. We were much better offensively on third down. On scoring drives, we converted a key third down to cold iron on 1 scoring drive. We had hip on a third down for a touchdown. They were 0 for the day on third down. I think they were 0 for 7. Defense, really, we give up the long run the first play of the game. We give up an 87-yard run. We cut a guy loose. You can't be great on defense giving up 3 chunk plays like that. The rest of the game, we were suffocating. We dominated them. They averaged 2.9 yards a play in their other 52 snaps, so they really couldn't run or throw it. But they're explosive and have good backs, and we got to eliminate those big chunk plays. So all in all, really good night, and excited to move forward for our next opportunity.
What time did you guys get back on campus?
I think we got back between 5 and 6. So I think we got back between 5 and 6. And again, everybody asks about these midweek games, and that's, like I said, the pros way outweigh we were on national TV for the league, for your program. I had recruits text me after the game. They get to watch you. Some recruits from far away that get to watch you. Obviously, the money factor with the ESPN contract and the exposure we have to have it. It overrides everything. The negative is for the kids, not so much for me. Like, If I'd have been at home, I probably wouldn't have slept much more than I slept. But it's hard on the kids, you know. Now, it's cool for the kids' exposure, you know. It's cool for the kids to be on ESPN and be on prime time and not be one of 60 games on Saturday. They're one of 3 games on a Tuesday night. So to get more opportunity to be in more of the center spotlight. But it is harder on the kids. You drive back, and then they got class today. And, you know, so it is, you know, it is difficult, but our kids more so not used to it.
So do you adjust the practice scheduling based on the difficulties that you face?
Yeah, I think we all adjust them, and we adjust them this time of year anyways because we're battered and bruised. A lot of kids didn't play, but a lot of the kids that did play are not real healthy, you know, and they're hanging on by a thread. And so you want to adjust this time of year anyways because you're trying. It becomes more like the NFL where it's just mentally you're preparing for the game and physically you're spending every second trying to get ready to play the game, where you don't want to do anything during the week physically because there's already kids that, you know, Cade Woolard didn't practice all week last week, you know, and then he played a bunch of snaps a game. He mentally prepared, and then physically it was all about treatment and rehab and recovery and trying to get his body back to where he could play and compete for us. So, and then with a short week this year, that compounds it, you know, and everybody, you know, the MAC does a good job. Sometimes you got that day advantage. Sometimes you have I've never felt like, I mean, OU, we had the day advantage. This time, Ball State's got I don't know. They calculate it's fair every single year, but over the totality of my time here, they do a pretty good job. So sometimes you have the shorter week. We got the 6-day week, so even the recovery for the kids and their physicalness, it's even harder. If you have that extra day, it's, you know, if you have the 8-day week, it's actually nice because you can actually get your kids feeling even better than they normally feel. But so you make your adjustments and you balance it. Mentally, you got to get ready to play, and then physically, you got to play next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever time the game is.
Coach, just want to ask about Avion. I mean, 11 for 23 passing. Obviously, you'd like the completion percentage to be a little bit higher, but he made some big plays with his arm last night. I mean, 47-yarder to hip. Just talk about a little bit what that can do for the offense win.
Yeah, well, again, chunk passes were huge in the game. And again, completion percentage, yes, you'd like it to be higher, but also what we're doing, we're trying to tack down the field. A lot of his incompletions were also down the field. When you get those big, whether it be the couple that we got to hip, the one was a touchdown, one was on another scoring drive. I think we had 32-yarder. Another one was to Miles Marshall down the other sideline in the fourth quarter. Like those, so you look at completion percentage, you also look at average per attempt and average per completion. Our average per completion was off the charts. You know, we had 11 completions, 180 yards passing. So again, you're talking 17 yards of completion. Well, those are all ends up being your averaging chunk plays. And then per attempt, I think we were like 8 yards per attempt. With 8 yards, if every time you drop back to pass, you get 8 yards, like you can complete 70% of your passes and throw shorter balls. And so you look at everything. If your completion percentage down, your yards per attempt and yards per catch got to be higher, which last night they were. And that's what you and everyone else noticed. Like, hey, 11 for 23 isn't great, but 180 yards on 23 attempts and 180 yards on 11 completion, that's a lot of mileage. And again, that's how you score points. You look at our scoring drives, we had those chunk plays in those scoring drives. It's just hard to grind it out and go 7, you know, when Northern scored, they got their chunk plays. Like that's the game. And when we haven't been good on offense, we haven't got chunk plays. If you go a whole game and you don't get any chunk plays, well, how'd you only score 10 points? How'd you only score 13 points? Well, we didn't get those big explosive plays. So you add those explosive plays in pass game, and then what he did with the legs, it's a pretty awesome evening for the young man.
Jack, you got anything?
Coach, would you say that was Avion's best start in college, or where would you rank that among his other starts? And you think that may be a turning point for him?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. I think it was. I was thinking his best complete start for sure, throwing and running combined. The other thing is, like, you lose your Q at Kentucky, and all of a sudden Avion's a starter, you know, and it's like, and he goes through those 5 or 6 games, whatever he had, and again, he had a good little run there as far as playing and having experience, and then Brett comes back for 3, and now he gets to stand on the sidelines and kind of take it in, you know, and I suspected that he was going to come back. Young players, their maturation, like I suspected that he was going to come back even stronger, not because he was so more excited about a second opportunity, just that first experience. Like, it wasn't like last Tuesday's practice, which I know wasn't a Tuesday, but that early, like the first practice he had, like he looked like a different kid. He was more confident. He was like last time around, like that was his first go around. It was like he was trying to be confident, and he had enough successes in that run, and he had failures to draw on. Like they're both important. Like things I didn't do well that I got to do better this time, and then things I did do well, which gives him the confidence. So he was spitting the ball out last Tuesday, like okay. He's a different player than the first time around, even though it was a short time ago. And that's normal for young kids. They go in they have these huge growths, and then it showed on Saturday. But he had a great week, and he was more. Last time he was confident, but he's still in the back of mind, I've never done this. Like now he went back, I know how to do this, and I've been through this, and I have experience, and I know not to do that. I did that last time, that didn't work out, that was dumb, you know? I know, and then, so even just throwing, and he played aggressive, he played confident, and even running, because the first time through, it wasn't until like the Buffalo game, you know, which was his fourth start, where he really figured out how dynamic a runner he could be for it. You know, if you look at the 3 non-conference games that he played, even Kentucky when he got in, he just looked sort of tentative, running the ball. He looked fairly athletic. But then the Buffalo game hit, and he got that long run. And like from that point, like he knows I think he knows I'm pretty good. Like those boys have a hard time tackling me, and I'm pretty fast, and I get out there like he's running now to go make play. Like when he gets tackles, he almost broke that one in the third quarter. You could see he was like, and he kind of got tripped up. You could just see like he popped up like, man, I almost housed that thing, and I was still 50. You know what I mean? So those are the things when you gain. We always talk about experience. You can't cheat experience. When you don't have experience, it's a big deal. When you have experience, you got to line, and you just see it different. And he took a couple sacks he shouldn't take. There's still tons of growth. He got it. One of them he fumbled on, which the ball again. Sometimes you got to cut bait and you got to get out of the downs, and that's what great quarterbacks doing this. So he's still going through. There's two, one could have been critical. Our defense came out and got a great stop. But he didn't. He just looked different. He looked more confident. He looked more aggressive. He looked more sure of himself, So it was a really good evening.
Coach, moving forward towards Ball State, would you almost look at Tuesday's game? It's almost like a tournament game, right? If both teams are playing. If either team wins, their season continues.
Yeah, obviously we're both one win away from bowl eligibility, so you're trying to get there. And like we always say, you get there by playing your best football, and you do more things right than Ball State does, and that's what they're trying to do to us. And again, exciting opportunity. It's your last home game, regular season for our seniors. It's their last ever home game, even if they win it, they're not going to play at home again. And then you're playing Ball State, which we're developing a rivalry with them. We play them every year. We got a lot of respect for what they've done and Coach New's done over there. They've done a great job. And they're very similar, like they're as good as anybody in this league. Really, you look at their games, and they've won some close ones, they've lost some close ones, and 2 weeks ago they're fighting for the conference title against Toledo. It's 21-21 in the fourth quarter, and so it's funny. Everybody kind of goes through it. You got to win, like we talk every. You got to win those close games, and that's the difference between 6-2 and 2-6 is win a couple close games. So I know they'll be hungry. I know they'll be excited. And trying to get to the same place we're trying to get to.